Dave, where were you born?
Exeter, California.
Yes, actually pretty close to you. Who were your parents and what were their occupations?
Duard Tedford was my father, and Mary Frances Tedford was my mother. My father was a heavy construction worker, and my mother was a housewife. She worked during the season. She worked at Mayflower Packing in Exeter.
Who were your siblings? What were their names? And then, have any of them served in the military?
My father was in World War II. My grandfather was in the Spanish-American War, and my great-great-grandfather was in the 17. He fought with Washington.
How about your siblings?
My siblings I had an older brother, Daryl, and my younger sister, Donna.
Did any of them serve in the military?
No.
How did your family feel about you joining service?
I didn't join. I was drafted.
What primary and secondary schools did you go to? Or did you attend any colleges?
No, I didn't.
Did you have any job before entering service?
Yes, I did. I worked at a nail manufacturing plant in Visalia.
Can you tell us about when you went into the military?
I was 20 years old when I got drafted. I went to Fort Ord for orientation and basic training and advanced infantry training.
What did you leave behind when you went to service?
You mean as far as things?
Like, let's say, did you leave behind any family members, child or pet, or children or pets?
Oh yeah, my mother. I still lived at home. We had a pet. It was a dog. His name was Skippy. I had a girlfriend, and she was going to Exeter High School at the time.
What branch were you drafted into?
Army.
What type of training or schooling did you have?
I had basic infantry training, and then after that, that was 8 weeks. And then 8 weeks of advanced infantry training.
What's your most vivid memory from being in school or during your time training? And what was the best part and what was the worst part?
As far as being overseas in a war zone? Or
just during your training?
Huh?
Just during training.
Just during training? The worst part was having to run to all of our training, whether it be we'd done medical training, we'd done night evasion, rifle ranges, hand grenade, just all the different sections of training that we went to. We had to run to them. We didn't get bused or trucked. That was a pain.
How about the best part of training?
Best part of training? Well, I don't know that there was really a best part. The best part for me was they done PT scores each week. And the guys that got above, I think it was, I don't remember exactly what the number was, but fortunately, I was one of the higher rated physical condition guys. So Saturday, I didn't have to go training. I could just hang out, watch TV, and do whatever I wanted to, while the other guys were still having to do physical training.
Is there any particular instructors that stand out?
No.
No? Did you receive specialized training, or was it just the simple?
Okay, the advanced infantry training is a specialized training. That's for light weapons. You basically learn how to hand-to-hand combat, a lot of any weapon that the U.S. military had, we had to be able to fire it, disassemble it, reassemble it. So that was all a part of the infantry training.
Do you recall any instructors?
No, well, the only time I remember, we were at a class, and it was for, I think it was a night evasion class before it, and there was a colonel, and there was bleachers with all of us guys, the trainees, and we're up there, and my cousin was being a jerk, and I was smiling, and they didn't like guys smiling in the military. So this colonel asked me to stop smiling, and I told him I'm trying to. And anyway, other than that, that's the only guy I really, remember anything about. The rest of them are just, trainers.
Were you qualified to use military instruments or equipment?
Yes. Yes.
What would you say is the hardest part of the training?
I would say assembling blindfolded. Yes. No, you had to be able to tear down a rifle blindfolded and put it back together. Because in the jungle, there is absolutely no light, none. And in the middle of the night, if you have a problem with your weapon, you needed to be able to disassemble it and assemble it.
Did you receive any promotions?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
What was your highest rank?
E4 specialist. This was my highest rank.
What was the hardest part of the military lifestyle that you had to adapt to?
Living in the jungle.
What was the easiest part?
Easiest part. When I got back stateside, I was one of the only Vietnam veterans stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. So they allowed me to do whatever I wanted to, because I had been in a war zone, and the rest of them, of the people that were there at Fort Hood, were not veterans. So they wanted me to just come and be there at roll call at 5:30 in the morning and say here, and after that I could do whatever I wanted to.
Where did you serve? What are your recollections of wartime?
Of wartime. Well, my recollections of it in Vietnam was, it was a very difficult time.
Excuse me for interrupting. If you don't want to continue with the question.
Oh, no, I'm good. It was difficult living in the jungle, not being able to communicate with other people, be around other people. You're basically around 10 to 12 guys, and that's all you have actually contact with for 12 months.
While you were in combat, were you combat support or a combat service role?
Oh no, I was frontline infantry, light weapons infantry.
How did your wartime experience change you?
Dramatically. And through years of talking to or with the psychologist, and I knew something was wrong when I came back home, but I really tried to blend into society as best I could. And after, I don't know, it was probably 20 years, I started having problems, and I asked my brother, after talking to a psychologist, had I changed any since the time I left for Vietnam? And my brother goes, yeah, you're dramatic. He said, if you'll remember, when you were here, you used to be the life of the party, and you always wanted to be around people and have fun and stuff. He said, when you come back, you shut everybody out. Just, you become an old man at 20 years old is what happens. So, yeah, it changed me dramatically.
Did you form any friendships while you were serving?
Yes. And I still, every year, the guys that were in my platoon, including my lieutenant, we all get together and we meet different places in the United States. This year we met in Las Vegas in September.
How did you stay in touch with family and friends during wartime?
I wrote my brother once, my mother maybe once or twice, and my wife at that time, I would write her daily. But when I wrote a letter to her, it took the letter 3 weeks to get back to her, and her letters to me. It was a 3-week process when we communicated. There was no cell phones. There was none of that. You didn't have a day-to-day connection with them at all.
What did you do for recreation when you were off duty?
There was no off duty. It's 24/7, 365 days a year.
Was there any humorous or unusual events that happened?
Oh, there was a lot of unusual events that happened, but I'm not going to discuss them.
Was there anything that you did for good luck?
No. Other than pray every day, that was it. A life of a frontline infantry soldier gets down to basics, what you need to survive, and that's it.
What was the best part of your service
getting to come home.
Was
Yeah.
it just like a huge feeling of relief?
Oh, yeah. In the moment when you're there, we called it going back to the world, coming back to the United States. You know that it exists, and you hope that, you make it back. But the reality was that you probably wouldn't. So that loomed heavily on your mind, and the hope that you got to go back home at some point was, your goal.
At the end of the service, do you recall the day that your service ended?
Sure. You want to know the date? May 19th, 1971. At about 3 o'clock, I left Fort Hood, Texas, coming back to California.
How did your family and if your friends were there, how did they receive you when you came back?
My family, they received me well. My friends at that time, they really didn't like me, didn't know me. It was a different time. They were into the hippie thing was going at that time, and I was looked down because I was in the military. They just, they didn't know. They didn't know how to take me. I was serious, and they weren't. They were into smoking dope and having fun and doing da-da-da-da-da, and that wasn't me, So because of all of that, it just, my friends that I had before I left, we really didn't have the same relationship when I got back.
How did you readjust to your civilian life back here in the U.S.?
I did as best I could. I went to work right away as soon as I got back. They the nail plant that I worked for, they gave me my job back. They held it for me. And so I only had 2 days to get from Texas to be here back in California and go to work a Monday morning at 5 o'clock, and I barely made it. So I immersed myself into work, kind of helped me keep my sanity, I guess you'd say. It's a good thing I had work to go to and not screw off, because I'd have probably been in jail several times. Probably. More than likely.
If you could go into depth, how did the service change you?
How did it change me? When I went in, I was a young kid. And when I say a kid, I had no goals. I didn't have a care in the world. When I say, like I told you earlier, it turns you into an old man quick. And when I say that, your thought process changes so dramatically that, the things you used to do to have fun and all that changes. And, the need to be around guys and go party with them and have good times, yeah, that's gone. You don't care. That's not your goal. You're just, once you come back, you're glad you're alive. Honest. The friendships you had before, you had a lot of friends. Well, that's not, having a lot of friends wasn't important when you come back.
When
Pardon me?
When you were in service, did it affect anyone that you were related to?
Sure. It affected my mother, my brother, my sister, my wife. It's affected all my kids. I mean, all that, you know, my personality, the way I am from the time I come back, it affects all your family. It does.
Did you join a veteran organization?
I belong to a couple. I belong to Central Valley Vietnam Veterans, and with them, I run the Honor Guard. I'm the team leader, and what we do, we go to veterans' funerals, and we do a rifle volley, fold and present the flag to the family, and we also work with the State Honor Guard out of Fresno and Bakersfield anytime they have veterans that need a rifle team or whatever. Cool. That's cool. This is really nice. It's good to see that the younger generation does care about their veterans.
And that'll be all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That's what we do. And I belong to a Combat Hope organization who Norby Lara runs that organization. I belong to that too.
Is it possible to go into more depth on how your military service affected your life?
As far as my life, it made me grow up really, really quick. It taught me organization skills, how to, as far as teamwork, working with other guys in your unit to complete whatever task you had at hand. I think I grew up a lot, and my decision making grew out of that.
Would you say are some life lessons that you learned during your service?
Oh yeah, sure. You learn what's important in life, and money's not one of them. Family, the person that you call your friend is important. Taking care of family.
Has your military service affected your feelings about war and the military?
Yes, it does. And my thoughts about war, it's ugly. But to be able to have the freedoms that we have, there's a cost for that. And a lot of people think just because they're born here, they have the right. Well, yeah, they do, but what keeps that right for them to do that are veterans that put their life on the line for a country and a belief, so that each and every one can have, the opportunities that we have here. My kids and my grandkids, I fought for them.
What message would you like to leave for future generations who will see or hear this interview?
There's an old term that war's hell. Yes, it is. When I came home from Vietnam, all us Vietnam veterans were treated like crap. Fortunately now, the veterans that have been returning, they get treated a lot better than what we were. And it's important to each veteran that somebody acknowledge their sacrifices that they've made. Walk up to them, shake their hand, tell them thank you. It's simple. It means a lot to all veterans.
Thank you for taking your time to share your recollections of military service. Is there anything that you would like to add that you haven't covered?
No, I'm good.
Is there anything that you've always wanted to share about your experience?
Pardon me?
Is there anything that you've always wanted to share about your experience?
As far as my experiences in Vietnam, they were pretty. It gets down to basics as far as your survival in an infantry unit or a line unit. It consists of, do you have water? Do you have food? Do you have toilet paper? Do you have ammunition? And that's the only things that matter. It's not, I gotta have my iPad, my cell phone. You don't get any of that, nothing. No showers, no nothing. We would go 3 months without a shower. We would get logged every 5 days. We'd have to be able to carry enough food and ammunition to last us 5 days. Helicopters would fly it in. Hopefully they could land. If they didn't, they kicked it out of the helicopter through the canopy. And that's how you got your food, your water, and ammunition.
Is there anything you would like people to know or remember from your experience?
Huh?
Oh. Is there anything you would like people to know or remember from your experience?
No, other than the fact that, you know, each and every one of us that were there did our absolute best to be as good a soldier as we could, you know, under the circumstances.
Is there anything else that we should talk about?
I don't think so.
Do you wish that more people knew about veterans?
Well, yeah. A lot of people, when I say a lot of people, I think the general consensus now seems to be that, you know, veterans aren't, you know, that bad. They're decent people that go there and do a crappy job. You know, they do a lot without, you know, the amenities that we have here. You know, they're out there laying on the ground at night when you're in a bed. They don't get hot meals, very seldom. They have to cook their own meals. They don't have mom or auntie or McDonald's or any of that to go to. It usually comes out of a can or a bag. But you're glad to have it.